Good morning and happy St. Patrick's Day. I am Matt Taskey, Director of Alumni Engagement at Mount St. Joseph University, and this is Lions at Lunch with President H. James Williams. And without any further ado, I will kick it over to Dr. Williams.
Thank you, Matt. And good morning, everybody. Excuse me. And welcome to this Lions at Lunch meeting. It's a pleasure for us to share a few moments with you this morning. Before we begin, let me say a prayer and bless the food that person might be getting ready to consume. I think that's a great job. Please bow and pray with me. Lord, we come to you this morning, thanking you for Mount St. Joseph University and for the mission, vision, and values of the Sisters of Charity of Cincinnati. We also thank you, Lord, for our tremendously gifted and caring alumni and alumni. We thank you for the continuing commitment they have to their alma mater. Please continue to bless them and their families, Father. Lord, please continue to enlighten and inspire all of us to do what is right for the Mount family, the greater Cincinnati region, the nation, and indeed the world. As the Mount's alums are blessings to all of these dimensions of your love. Lord, now bless the meals of which some of us are about to partake. Bless the food for the nourishment of our bodies and let it allow us sufficient energy to face all of our challenges with content hearts and minds, knowing that we strive to do our very best to shape ourselves in your image. Amen. So with that, excuse me, I'd like to make a few opening comments if I may. Bear with me 1 second here. Okay. It's interesting because it was this very week last year that we began the journey of working together for teaching and learning very differently than we had in the past. It's been a most unusual year, to say the least, but the Mount family has repeatedly adapted, adjusted, and reimagined all that we do to ensure that the mission of our institution has been carried out. Excuse me, I don't know why I have a frog in my throat this morning. I am proud of all that the Mount has accomplished during this time of adversity. Notably, the Mount has used this time as an opportunity to reflect, strategize, and position ourselves to be a beacon to the region. Mount faculty and staff have been revisiting the university's vision, strategic plan, and they're endeavoring to help guide decisions through 2025. There have been drastic changes in higher education as a result of the pandemic, and the Mount has adjusted its strategic plan to ensure that we remain relevant, are innovative in approach, and can address the needs of current and future students. The energy around the updated Transformation 2025 strategic plan is palatable. It is truly an exciting time to be a Lion. Today, I thank you all for joining me, and I look forward to answering some of your questions about the Mount. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Williams. The first question that we have is from an alumna, Rita, and she asks, I want to know how President Williams and the First Lady like their new positions at Mount St. Joseph University.
Great question, and thank you. And I will tell you that we are in love with this place. You know, in fact, March 16th marked my 5th year here as Mount President. And I couldn't be more pleased, neither could the First Lady. We've had a wonderful opportunity to get to know so many in our beautiful community. We've had the opportunity to participate and help to move the Mount forward. All of that is very gratifying. When we interviewed for this position over 5 years ago now, we came to visit the Mount, and the feeling was palpable that we could, in fact, understand and appreciate what this community attempts to do under the guidance of the management team, the cabinet, the board of trustees, and in concert, quite frankly, with the Sisters of Charity of Cincinnati. And so we have really, really been blessed is the way we look at this. The First Lady has been very involved in organizations outside the community. She serves on 3 or 4 boards, not-for-profit boards, to help them carry on their mission. She's with Habitat for Humanity's board. She's with Bethany House's board, and it just kind of goes on and on along those lines. So she is really enjoying herself, and she feels that she is still in a position, to maximize and really, really utilize all of the talent, skills, and expertise that she accumulated during her years with IBM. So she feels like she's having an opportunity to continue to do that, and she gets the bonus of doing it in the context of Mount St. Joseph University. So thank you for that question, and know that we are well and we're enjoying ourselves.
And we're very thankful for you and Mrs. Williams for being here, Dr. Williams. With the Sisters of Charity, we just had another question come through in regards to the Seton Center over at the Mother House. I know that was a portion of our alumni's home in university. Can you give a brief update on the Sisters of Charity and what's occurring with the Seton Center at the Mother House?
Yes, well, the Sisters of Charity have been planning to do, what they need to do with the Seton House for a long while. They've been very careful to make sure that it makes sense in the context of where they are now and where they're headed. And that the sisters have always been really astute in terms of making sure that they can maintain the resources they need to be productive and to take care of all the folks who live in the Mother House. So this was an opportunity, as I understand it at least, for them to say, look, it's really expensive to keep spaces open, particularly older spaces that require a lot of energy. And so maybe it's time for us, to make an adjustment here. So they're doing that, but they're being very careful about it. They're making sure that they don't do any damage to any of the other parts of the Mother House up there. Excuse me. And they've agreed to at least give us a few bricks. Unfortunately, they're going to have to use a lot of those bricks that they're taking off of the Seton Center, the Seton facility, to actually finish it off. So they're going to replace some of those bricks to finish it off. And some of the other bricks, as you can imagine, won't be usable because of the way they had to be, torn down. But I'm told that we will get at least a few bricks because a couple of folks have asked me. Now, unfortunately, we won't be able to serve, a flood of requests for the bricks. But we have folks who've already asked me, maybe we'll have 5 or 6 bricks that we can give to folks who have already asked. And then maybe there could be a few more I could at least ask, but there won't be a lot more bricks. But the bottom line is that the sisters are really taking their time and being careful about this. They understand how important this facility is for a lot of Mount alums. So not to worry, and I'm sure they're gonna provide some more explanation and strive to share more about what they're trying to accomplish, when they think it's ready.
Thank you. And just to be clear, Dr. Williams, is the university involved, or was the university involved in that decision for the Seton facility?
Yeah, that's a fair question, man. And no, we were not involved. They did not ask for our opinions. They simply came and said, here's what we're doing, because that's the kind of sisters they are. They are take charge sisters. They understand, even the business dimensions of the work they do and how important it is to have a margin so that you can actually carry out your mission. So no, they didn't need to ask us. They just made the decision, and they're convinced that it's a good one, and so am I.
Absolutely, thank you. Another question, we've had numerous questions actually come through along this line. We've received multiple questions about the Mount's approach to protecting freedom of speech given the current political and social climate in our country. Can you speak to that, please?
Absolutely. First of all, let me say unequivocally that the Mount is supportive of free speech rights. We not only allow it, we encourage it. For example, when the debate was flowing about whether athletes should kneel during the playing of the national anthem or not, we took the approach that, look, that's an expression of free speech. I remember giving sort of not a lecture, but I made sure that I sat down with the athletes to say, look, we recognize, observe that you want to exercise your freedom of speech, and that's a part of it. And we're going to support that. But you got to know that we expect you to conduct yourselves in a manner that will be, a benefit and reflect well on Mount St. Joseph University. So I know that sometimes the stands and the fans rather in the stands would, yell, obscenities and all of those kinds of things. And so I said to our athletes here, look, express your free speech rights, but also allow that others also have rights to express themselves. Sometimes they don't do it as well as they might, and sometimes they use language that is designed to incite, I think. I said, but you have to take care of yourself. And I said, if you want to get in trouble with the Mount, then you respond inappropriately to those kinds of gestures, and then we're going to have a problem. But other than that, we're in good shape. And that's the approach we took. Now, one of our sister universities in this area took a very different approach. That sister organization told its players, and I'm hearing this from the president, that no, you may not. You will stand, et cetera, et cetera. Very authoritative like that. And in my way of thinking, it was not the best decision, but that wasn't my decision to make. Here at the Mount, I think we handled it well. We don't have a lot of athletes kneeling anymore. I mean, all of our sporting events this year have been in the spring. And I've been to 5, 6, 7 events already. And in the playing of the national anthem, at least here on the Mount's campus, everybody's standing, everybody, is observing, the anthem in a way that it should be observed and respected. So there's not been any problem, and nobody, and at least I haven't seen any athletes across volleyball and softball and wrestling and football. I haven't seen any of the athletes decide that they need to express their free speech rights that way. Now I'll give you an example to have you have an understanding of sort of how we support free speech rights. But we also have rules and guidelines to honor free speech rights across the campus, across all the activities that we have. But there are specific guidelines about how we do that, the process for making sure that it's something that we can support when it's time for having big rallies, for example. We want to be very careful that we do it in a way that's going to protect anybody who participates, and that the folks who come onto our campus respect sort of what we do on our campus and how we do it on our campus. But as a matter of, and I happen to be an attorney as well, so I'm kind of leaning in that direction all the time because I understand so well what free speech rights have done for this country over all the many years. And I don't think we're going to get better if we start, muffling those who want to express themselves.
Thank you, Dr. Williams. Transitioning gears, will we be able to celebrate our May 2021 graduation in person?
Absolutely. At least that's what we're planning. And we're planning to have the baccalaureate in the Modern Day Chapel on the night before, as we typically do. And that should also be face-to-face. We have to limit the numbers, of course, and we may have to have more than one baccalaureate to accommodate folks so we can still, observe the distance requirements, the social distancing requirements that the state imposes. So we still want to try to do that. But yeah, we plan to do the baccalaureate face-to-face. And then on Saturday, we are right now planning to be at the sports complex, to be on Schuler Field, so that we have enough space to spread out. And in that case, students will be able to invite up to 4 family members or others. That's what the plan is right now. For the baccalaureate the night before, the students will be able to allow 2 outsiders. We think that would be ideal to their parents. But that's what we're planning right now, and it's looking good. Now, if it rains, we probably won't be outside in Schuler Field. I mean, if it rains hard, in which case we'll then move it into our facilities. And we're making those alternative plans too, just in case. But yes, it's gonna be nice, I hope. We're looking forward to it.
Absolutely. And then continuing in that direction, Many people have asked what fall at the Mount will look like. Can you shed any insight on that?
Absolutely. Last fall and this spring, we had 4 different pedagogical approaches to teaching because we had to make some adjustments because of COVID-19. So we have 65% of our classes that we're offering in what we call the in-sync mode, like in synchronization, in-sync mode. And that approach requires students to be on Zoom for most of the time. And then there may be, interactions with individual students as they need those kinds of interactions. But that's 65%. We have another 15% that is totally online. And we've always had some classes that are totally online. So about 15% there. We also have another 15% for last fall and this spring that have been meeting face-to-face. Those are the small classes, laboratories like chemistry and biology, maybe some nursing labs, some things where hands-on is required. Then we have allowed those students to meet face-to-face, properly socially distanced, and wearing their face masks. When the next fall rolls around, and I left out my 5% of students who still are out on co-ops and on the premises of their employers, but we're making sure that they are accommodated appropriately to protect themselves from the pandemic. So that's what we're doing last fall and now. In the fall, coming up, 2021 fall, we expect to be mostly face-to-face. We have been measuring classrooms and figuring out how many students we could get into a classroom, properly socially distanced. We're going to be using a whole host of facilities around the campus to accomplish this. We may have to have a few more sections to accomplish this as well. But the point is that we plan to be face-to-face for all of our teaching and learning activities, except in those cases where we have a continuation of in-sync. And we would have that continuation of in-sync because the students asked for it. After the experience of last fall and this spring, some students looked up and said, I think it's great that we could be on campus, but this is very convenient, especially those who are more mature students, our non-traditional students. This is where I've been hearing that, quite frankly. But even some of the students who are full-time students, younger students are saying the same thing, that in-sync mode actually works for them in a number of situations. So we'll have some in-sync classes. We'll always have some completely online classes. And of course, we'll have our students continue to do their internships and co-ops on the premises of their employers.
Thank you. And it's exciting to be able to hopefully, return to that in-person format. It's been an interesting year, as you mentioned earlier.
Well, it has, Matt. And if I may just add one other point here. We've had students living on our campus since last fall. We've had about 250 students, which is obviously south of what we would ordinarily have on campus. But the students have been very respectful of the rules and guidelines, the face masking, the social distancing. But so they've been able to enjoy actually being on campus during last fall and now here during the spring. We love that. We've always enjoyed having the students around us. I mean, that's why we chose higher education, because we wanted to be in the midst of that. We wanted to have students walking around and asking us questions in impromptu fashion because we just bumped into each other. So we're looking forward to getting everybody back on campus, all the students, faculty, and staff. Again, we'll make sure that we're monitoring, and in some instances, we may have to make one-off decisions to support our students in ways that they ought to be supported, to support our faculty and staff in ways they ought to be supported. So it won't be an easy, smooth kind of boom, here we are and everybody's back and nothing has changed since the last time we were all together like this. There will be some changes, no doubt, but we're looking forward to it. We're excited about it. And it'll be a time when we can also invite the outside folks back in. We've been trying to protect the folks on the campus by precluding persons who don't live on the campus or don't work on the campus from coming to the campus. But we know that that has an impact on our alums. And so what we've tried to do is to carve out some ways that alums can still come to the campus. But I think it's May 1st or so is when we are thinking about maybe lifting the ban of outsiders onto the campus. And then the alums can, come on the campus as well and be engaged. So we're looking forward to that.
One other question off of the fall schedule, Dr. Williams, can you share the faculty's involvement in that progression or decision?
Yes, well, we're trying to elicit opinions and plans and ideas from the entire Mount campus. Before we went back to school last fall, when the pandemic hit us hard last spring and through the summer, we planned very carefully, and we had groups of faculty, staff, and students, quite frankly, coming together in small groups to try to address each individual aspect of what we do on campus. And I thought we did a great job of that, listening and trying to make sure that we're accommodating folks in ways that make them feel supported and safe. And we've done the same thing for the spring. So as we've begun our planning for the fall, we're starting to plan a little earlier than we were allowed to plan last time because of the circumstances. But we started to plan, and we have, groups of folks involved in helping us through the plans. We've been sharing this. In fact, last week, I think we shared it with the faculty a couple of different times, what we're planning. And they had some good advice and counsel, which we knew they would. And so we've been implementing, trying to figure out how we implement some of those interesting innovations and ideas that they have as well. But this is a campus where we respect, appreciate, and encourage input. We try to be as transparent as we can with what's happening in the leadership of this university, because we are all leaders, not just those of us in administrative roles. We're all leaders in our own respect, and we have to make sure that we're doing the leadership kinds of things throughout the campus, our classrooms, our custodial staff. Everybody needs to be conducting themselves in ways that make sense for all of us. So yeah, we're gathering input from everybody we can about what needs to happen, because some things will have to happen differently. There's no doubt about that. But we're excited about getting everybody back together. Yes, indeed.
Definitely. Thank you. Earlier, you mentioned the sports teams, athletic teams playing or participating right now. Can you provide an update on the athletic calendar and what's transpired this academic year?
Yeah, absolutely. During the fall, we thought we might be able to have some athletic events, but as we got into the fall, we realized that was just not possible. And we're in a conference for most of our sports. We're in conferences for all of our sports, but the main conference for us is the HCAC, and we need to make sure that we're comporting with those rules and guidelines in addition to the rules and guidelines of the state of Ohio, the CDC. So we've had a lot of different masters helping us to figure out what we can and cannot do on campus when it comes to sports. And we've had to test all of our athletes on a regular basis, and we continue to do that. But what we decided in the fall is, let's not push it. Let's not endanger anybody by maybe taking 2 quick steps. Let's keep thinking about this and planning this, and let's plan to move everything to the spring. And so that's what we did. We moved all the athletics events to this spring semester. And you can imagine the challenge that presents with keeping places clean and making sure that we're protecting folks from the virus. So washing down surfaces and getting folks out of classrooms and leaving enough time before the next class comes in so that they can clean the spaces, so they can do all the wipe downs that are necessary and remove the trash and anything else that needs to be done to make sure that the place is safe for the next group to come in. But we've been doing the same thing for our athletics. So for example, we had our women volleyball team, which was outstanding this year, had 2 games on the same day because of the challenge of scheduling in pandemic. So they had played 1 game and then they had to stop. Everybody had to leave the gym. Then we came back a couple of hours later after they had in fact cleaned up the space, and then we enjoyed the second game. So we've done a lot of that kind of thing. And again, we've had to do multiple events on the same day because we have all of our athletics teams in operation in the mode right now. So it's a challenge, but it's still fun. We're allowed to allow some limited number of spectators. That was a big issue for us, a big deal, because we want to have at least the athletes' parents and families to be able to come and observe them. We always tout the fact that we have scholar students who just want to play the game they love. And we love to see them playing the game they love. So, it doesn't impact negatively their ability to get the work done in classrooms. In fact, we give extra efforts to make sure we're supporting those students who may be having a little bit more difficulty and are trying to engage in sporting activities. But all the sporting activities are happening this spring. Football just started a couple of weeks ago, I'm pretty sure. A couple of weeks ago with the away game, and then last week they had their first home game. Basketball is finished up, the men. The women, who had an outstanding year, also finished a couple of weeks ago. I was at their championship game, and they asserted themselves. Actually, that was a semifinals game. They asserted themselves very well, but they came up a little short. But it's interesting, and I'm really proud of the fact that the women's basketball team had the most valuable player in the league. Yes, Maddie was the most valuable player in the league, and our coach was the co-head coach of the year. So Dan Benjamin really asserted himself tremendously. The student athletes did so, and so we've had a lot to celebrate during this athletic season. I would also share with you that our volleyball team, our women's volleyball team, was ranked number 13 in the nation. And they played superbly. They came up a little short in the championship game down in Transylvania. But I was down there to help. The First Lady and I were down there to help them out, to root them on. It just came up a little short. But we're really proud of the team. Our softball team almost goes without speaking now. I mean, they are so good. And they started their season in grand fashion. And so I pulled out the championship ring that they earned a couple of years ago. And, thought it was appropriate for me to wear my championship ring. So athletics is important for this campus because we have so many of our students who choose that as a supplement to the scholarship that they're conducting here and the learning that's happening here. And so easily 45% of all of our students participate in one of our 23 official NCAA sports teams. And that's important. And a whole host of our freshmen come in, with the aspiration of getting their studies done while they play the game they love. And so we keep reminding ourselves of that. That's to make sure that we keep the games operating in a manner that allows it to be fun so that our scholars can still have the fun they need in the games they love.
Thank you. And if you're not aware, the Mount has updated the athletic website to msjlions.com, and all of the games right now, or most of the games I should say right now, are streaming on the university YouTube channel, which is where we are today, youtube.com/msj1920. Dr. Williams.
Great. Thanks for adding that, Matt.
Absolutely. You mentioned earlier about fans on campus. We had another question to asking, are fans allowed to attend games in person?
Yes.
Do you have anything more to add?
Yeah, well, the only thing I would just repeat that, in fact, we have permission to allow limited numbers of spectators in the stands. And we're taking great pains to make sure that we do it in a way that comports with safety guidelines for pandemic. So we've been socially distanced. The seats are marked. And the First Lady and I have gone to a lot of these games. The seats are marked. We can sit together because we're family. So any families can sit together more tightly. But otherwise, there has to be complete social distancing. And then we try to keep the place clean. And we take tabs. We actually take names of the spectators who are coming. And those spectators get checked off as they come. So it's a little bit more guidance we have to provide, a little bit more protection, if you will. We have to provide by taking spectators in by name and trying to help them to understand how important it is to maintain all the safeguards that we're striving to make sure are implemented.
Thank you. Transitioning gears slightly, Next question we have is, I saw the Centennial Fieldhouse unveil on Local 12 a few days ago. Are alumni able to use that space?
Absolutely, when the time is right. We have guidelines that allow that alumni may use our facilities on campus. We just ask that you have an ID card, but alumni may use our facilities on campus. Unfortunately, as I told you earlier, we are circumscribing sort of who could be on the campus because we're trying to protect faculty, staff, and students from COVID-19. So at this moment, we're not allowing anyone outside to come onto the campus and participate and engage in the activities on the campus. When I say anybody, obviously we can make some individual exceptions for, folks who are trying to recruit our students for co-ops and internships and, work that we need to do to make sure that we can fend for the university in the future. I mean, we're not cutting off our heads to spite our faces. That wouldn't be wise. So we're doing some of that, but in the main, folks cannot come yet. Alumni can't come yet. But once we lift the ban and allow folks to come onto the campus freely again, alums can use our facilities, including that outstanding Centennial Fieldhouse and Knowlton Fitness Center. We've gotten so much great press about that, and rightly so. It's what the students and we decided a few years ago that we needed on this campus, because again, we have so many students who are scholarship oriented and athletics oriented. They are concerned about mind, body, and spirit as we are, mind, body, and spirit. So we try to make sure that we're promoting that on our campus all the time. Let's be upbeat, let's get things done, and let's challenge ourselves to be even better.
Absolutely. Thank you, Dr. Williams. And I'm going to attempt a screen share to show our alumni where they can secure their updated Mount St. Joseph University Alumni ID, as well as where we can go to tour, to request a tour of that space. So if you go to msj.edu/alumni, and the page is frozen. So if you go to that page, and I apologize for the technical delay, and you scroll down to alumni benefits, there we go, now it freed up. There's a tile or a square on the website called alumni benefits. If you go into that section and scroll down, there is an alumni ID request form embedded in that website. And above that, there is a blue banner under the scrolling pictures, and it says Centennial Fieldhouse tour times available. And we have an in-person and a virtual option. So if you want to use the U-Visit form and view it from the safety and comfort of your own home, you can do so. If you feel comfortable coming to campus, you can visit on campus. Registration is required, and we will follow all social distancing guidelines and regulations for that space.
Matt, if I may, let me apologize to the audience. You may have seen me just move slightly to the left. I had knee replacement surgery yesterday morning. And so I'm still recovering. I'm just starting to recover. And one of the things I'm supposed to do is to keep this leg elevated. So I moved slightly to the left so that I could elevate this leg. So don't let that be disconcerting. Thank you.
And then I was planning on showing photos of the facility, but since my screen just froze up on me with the website, I'm not going to do that. Just please know that there are photos available in the U-Visit form. So visit msj.edu/alumni, and you can see the pictures and the photos and the galleries from there. And Dr. Williams, I know earlier today you sent an email out about our upcoming Day of Giving. Will you speak about our Day of Giving for a moment and how those funds assist our students, please?
Absolutely. First of all, let me thank you, all of you alums who have helped to make that a very, very fruitful proposition. And I say fruitful for the students, because all those funds, the last couple of years for sure, we're going to help students. When we had the pandemic, hit us really hard last spring, we raised over $25,000 to help those students make adjustments, because they had to make some adjustments to be able to engage in class at home. So we were able to gather that much money to help the students. I should also share with you that last year when the CARES Act funding came through, students got a big piece of that. They got over $614,000 that we allocated to the students to help them to address those issues. And then in each of the subsequent monies that we received from the federal government and some from the state government, but from the federal government, we also have another piece that's at least equal to $614,000 or $41,000 to give to the students again, because we recognize that they have challenges that have arisen because they're trying to educate themselves. And we don't want that to be a downer for them. We don't want that to dissuade them from continuing to make progress on educating themselves. It's so fundamentally important. So we're asking you to help us again with the giving. And that's the 19th, right, Matt?
Correct, yes, the 19th. And I just got an email, Dr. Williams. We already have 2 gifts that have come through from your email about an hour and a half ago. So,
well, that's fantastic. That's fantastic. And what we're trying to do to make sure that we can respond to the affinities that the alumni have is we're focusing on raising monies for the schools or through the schools. So our School of Health Sciences, our School of Business, our School of Education, our School of which 2 am I missing? Man, I should have started this.
Behavioral Natural Sciences, did you mention?
Natural Sciences. I always get that one challenge. And then there's one more I just missed.
Arts and Humanities.
Arts and Humanities. Thank you. And not because they're any less important. It's just that, you know, I'm struggling with this knee right now, and so I'm not as focused as I might otherwise be. But the point is that we want you to help us through the schools that you prefer. So help us through health sciences or arts and humanities or whichever you like. But we're trying to make sure that we can raise enough money to help these students during this time, because it's tough.
Absolutely. And really, we're trying to just garner as much excitement around our alma mater as we can, frankly, and show the support to our current students. So feel free to donate to what you feel called. And, you know, if it's the Student Scholarship Fund or the area of greatest need, feel free to give where your heart is calling you to give. And we thank you for that support.
Absolutely.
But I have not seen any other questions come through. Just remember www.msj.edu/alumni, and we will put that hopefully in the link in just a moment for you to go and request your alumni ID or schedule a tour of the upcoming Centennial Fieldhouse. We have an open house on April 15th from 5 to 7 p.m. and also an open house on Saturday, April 17th from 9 until noon. So you're more than welcome to stop by, open house style. We do ask you to pre-register just so we understand who is coming to campus for the COVID-19 protocols that we have. But other than that, you know, welcome to stop by at any time during that window. Dr. Williams, I want to thank you so much for your time and commitment to Mount St. Joseph University. As a double alum, I thank you for your leadership. We know it's a group effort, and Cabinet is very supportive, and we're thankful for those individuals as well. Thank you. Do you have any closing remarks?
Well, I do, Matt, because I want to make sure I drive home the point. You said it's a group effort. Well, indeed, it is a group effort. And we've been pleased with the kind of alumni support we've received since the onset of this pandemic. We've always tried to make the best decisions with the resources we have to support students in the ways that we must. And I think that's happening. We are pleased with what we have been able to do since the pandemic hit us back last year. We're pleased, but we're not satisfied. because there's so much more for us to do. And in order for us to accomplish all that we must and to move this university forward in leaps and bounds as we plan, we need to have your help. We need you to step up, to stand up, to say, I'm an alum, I'm an alumna, I'm an alumnus, and I want to make sure that I help. And so what can I do to help? Or because you can always find some way to be engaged, even if you're not giving all the dollars, there's always a way to be engaged. You can mentor our students. You can come on the campus to speak to our students. You can maybe identify job opportunities for them or connect them with folks who do have job opportunities for them. There is so much that you can do to support your alma mater. And we'll be working as diligently as we can to make sure we're taking care of the business on this end so that you can do what you need to do on the other end. So again, thank you for your loyalty to the Mount. Thank you for always thinking and praying for the Mount. And we look forward to the next time we can get together. Thanks.
Thank you. Have a great day.